Welcome, everyone. We're here with Dr. Shira Bush. She's a longtime graduate of transformation and has been working in transformation in many different fields for decades now. And she's a recent ITT graduate. So we're going to talk to her about her ITT experience. Welcome, Shira.
Thank you. Glad to be here, John. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here. So let's go back when you were first considering jumping into ITT. What attracted you to the possibility of ITT?
For me, it was the idea that even though I've done transformational work and I've been a transformational trainer, it had been a number of years that I had been in the more traditional transformational body of work. And with the work that I do as the book creator, I felt that it was time for me to take my own personal transformation to the next level. And who better than you to work with, who's consistently done it for the past 30 years. And for me, I was looking at relaunching my business and just, I almost want to say restarting my life, because I had had this period of time that was, we'll just call it the dark times, make it easy. And I was coming out of it, and I wanted to come out of it faster. I wanted to come out of it more whole and complete. And I wanted to come out of it as a better quality, as a better human being, to be with people in a way that really supported them, especially now through the pandemic and just in general.
Okay, yeah, got it. Very clear. And as you got clear about wanting to do ITT, did you have any objections or obstacles that you had to overcome?
Money's always, it's never really been an obstacle, but it certainly was a consideration given the cost. However, when I look at what I've done since, it paid for itself multiple times over. Since we finished, which was the beginning of the month, I just booked 2 new books, full books, which is nice. They're small, but the point is, I hadn't sold any book publishing in years, in a couple of years. I was doing other work, but not that. And it's what's been easiest thing, because the way I'm looking at things now, which is different, slightly different than I did before, or I'm more connected than I was before, things are just coming easier. It's almost, as I like to call it, it's almost like it's magic.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so then you came to ITT, it sounds like very curious and beginner's mind, and you had some areas of your life that you wanted to accelerate. When you got in deep with ITT, what were some of the personal insights or learning or breakthrough that came up for you?
Well, I need to back up one step. So I had this idea going in, and as a teaching moment, a beginner's mind is absolutely critical, because if I had come in going, well, I know that, and I've heard that, and I've seen that, and I've done that, I would not have gotten the personal results that I'd gotten. So beginner's mind, absolutely critical. I don't care how many years you've been doing this work, beginner's mind is critical. So that being said, I came in with an approach of, I need to be in this 100%, actually like 10,000%. Do whatever you instructed us to do as a homework assignment, readings, whatever it was, so that I could create, you know, I hate using the word create at the moment, generate, manifest the results I wanted, even though I had ideas of what I would like them to be. I wasn't really sure what it really was going to be. And for me, it was the idea that my life and my career depended on the next 12 weeks. Like, excuse the language, no shit, no kidding. My life depended on it. If I didn't get this, I didn't know. And that was my approach. That was my internal dialogue and mindset. What came out of it, some things were a little bit more in your face ahas. However, when all was said and done, and I completed and wrote the testimonial, the written one you have, the one thing that I hadn't put in, that I hadn't realized, and I'll comment on it now, is that everything was subtle. It wasn't like, oh, in your face, great, new contract, next, who's the next book, who's the next thing? It wasn't that. It was all very soft. It was very subtle. It was all in me shifting my way of being, that people got it. I remember saying to you when we first spoke, and you said to me, so what do you want to, you know, I said, well, here, I had my list of goals, but one of the top goals was I wanted people to speak to me, or I'd speak to them. We'd be in a dialogue, a conversation, and I wanted them to go, I got to work with her. Don't know how, don't have the money. I don't care what but I want to work with her. I get who she is. I get what she's doing. That is now happening. Actually, it happened, as you know, because I called you as soon as you assigned us our buddy pairs and our small groups. My buddy wanted to work with me. So I'm like, well, I got results, let's go, you know, and that was at the end of the first session. So this works fast, it works subtly, you don't quite feel it. And there was massive growth, and some of it was painful and some of it was easy. I'm not gonna lie, there was some emotional stuff. I was like, I thought I had that handled. Oh my God, no. Came up and we addressed it. And I was very fortunate. I had a fabulous buddy who loved me through, I loved her through. And it was interesting to see the small group dynamics, which in many cases models our own family dynamics. And that was a trip and a half, because my family's gone.
Okay. Well, you touch on some of the structure of the program, and for me as trainer, it's quite different to have this 3-month process with people and to see the cumulative growth that goes on. And so obviously we designed it that way, and we think that's powerful. And so you have the weekly connection with Landon and myself and the whole team, and then you have your small group work that you do and your personal work. So if you could, for our, you know, as someone who went through it, for people that are thinking about it, what can they expect in terms of experiencing ITT?
In terms of that, who you're being at any moment in time is who you're being. Okay, you cannot separate it. You're not, as you'll find out in the program, you're not your identity. However, um, you know, each week, you know, the sessions were an hour and a half to 2 hours, and that was great. And that's where the, let's call it the intellectual, conceptual knowledge piece of the learning occurred. The interesting part was the real work begins the minute you guys hang up from us, and we, you know, we've got to do a reading. And the readings weren't long. It wasn't hard. It wasn't arduous. It was like, okay, fine, a half hour, an hour, whatever it was. However, the bulk of the work got done with my buddy, well, myself, my buddy, and then the small group. And that was because it's all these dynamics coming together, and everybody's stuff comes up, and it all comes up at different times. So I might be the supportive one this time, and I'm the one falling apart next time, or I'm the one that's angry and somebody else is supporting me, you know. And everybody's roles in terms of how the dynamics were kept changing. And that was, it was extremely interesting to watch all the dynamics unfolding and watching everybody's growth as well as my own, week by week by week. And sometimes it was 2 or 3 weeks before we saw movement either in ourselves or somebody else in our group or even the whole class. So there was a good amount of time. I personally take the buddy process very seriously. And I speak to my buddy. I'm still friends. I'll be friends with my buddy till the day both of us, one or both of us leave the planet. And we're very close. It didn't start out that way. However, that's how it ended up, which was the blessing in all of this. There's a lot of love that's shared. There's a lot of humility that's shared. I think, if anything, it was probably one of the largest sharing experiences I've had in a long time, because most of the work I do, I'm the authority, the expert, and not the one directly involved. So that was huge. And to me, that was priceless. I would say, well, let's see, I'd speak to her just because that's how we did it. Sometimes we talk for an hour, hour and a half. You know, sometimes it was a 15-minute conversation as part of the homework and then outside of the homework. So we made a point to have a lot of connection. Other buddy pairs and groups did it differently.
Yeah, I'm sure it was perfect for you. And
oh, it was.
And the progression of the course built on itself, and so now you're a few weeks out of ITT, and you've accelerated some of your results already. If you could put your finger on how are you showing up now, and your experience of life from the work you did in ITT?
Wow, that's a big question, because that's like multiple parts. I think the thing that I have to say most about it is I don't have to be afraid to be me. The humor, sometimes the foul language, that it's like I'm enjoying the life because I don't have to be the identity I thought I had or who I was when I first came into ITT. I'm more relaxed. And it's not that I was that intense to begin with. I wasn't. It's just I'm okay with me. And that's probably I've had moments of that before, and I've had periods of time in my life before. However, I'm just showing up differently. People want to work with me. People want to support me. And that's a refreshing change. There was a point in my life a number of years ago when I would go and attempt to sell a book, and I got told by my coach at the time that I was so desperate for the business to take care of everything, you know, bills, life, whatever, that the energy I was putting out was actually repelling them, even though I would do an exact perfect, let's say, sales pitch, enrollment call, whatever you want, you know, book consultation, author consultation. It would be spot on and perfect. And the answer I'd get was no, or I've got to think about it. And then the answer was no. Now it's like, hey, I'm offering this. How about we do this? All right, let's do it. How much? Okay, well, all right, let's work on the money. Let's handle, you know, and everything is, it's flowing. And again, I've got to come back and say it's so subtle. It's not like I'm that different a person. At least I didn't think I was. I was like, I first came out and went, oh, okay, well, I feel like I'm pretty much the same person. All right. And then week after week, I'm feeling different. I'm showing up differently. And yeah, it's subtle. And you've got to be willing to pace it, and you've got to be willing to be present and connected so that the work can come through you. Because it's not like it's being the work. One of the cool things I learned in ITT, the work wasn't being done to me. All the work was being generated from inside me outwardly. So that to me is the biggest gift you can receive. And again, it's so subtle, and I'm not the most subtle person on the planet, as you know, but it's subtle.
Got it. Well, that's very powerful. And it sounds like you're coming from a very grounded and centered place. And like you say, just relaxed and peaceful and accepting. And from that place, you're attracting, your energy is attracting, and people want to be around that, you know, because they want that as well. So that's wonderful to hear. And it sounds like you are able to have confidence that you can sustain this and maybe even expand it. It's not just going to like fade away after a few days.
No, it certainly didn't, because the groundedness and centeredness seems like a key. It's growing more, and that's what's generating the relaxed. And the idea is to keep going and keep practicing. So that's to me very important, because no, it's not like it's going to fade away. And I also know that if I don't, for lack of a better word, work on myself to maintain it, there's no way to sustain it. I mean, right now I'm sustaining it, and I also know I will be doing the work to continue the sustenance and keep it going, and the sustainability of it, because it's critical at this point. because all the work I do is with people, and people are people, they're beings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think in ITT you learn some sort of tools of thinking and observing that once you master those, that's what you can use to practice. And so it's kind of like you have the keys to the kingdom now, and you're going to stay there.
Well, yes, that's true. And as you mentioned, we do have the tools. There were a lot of tools delivered to us, almost handed to us on a silver platter, so to speak. However, it's, I think, super important to continue working with like-minded people that have had that experience, that have had the level of education that's provided, and continue on with them to be able to continue using those tools and sharpening them. I mean, a tool is going to get dull, even if you've got it sitting there. If you're not using it effectively, properly, whatever term you want to use, it's not going to be ready when you need it. So to me, it's critical to continue going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so for anybody who's watching this, on behalf of Shira and myself, we invite you to jump into Odyssey, first of all, because that's your entry into ITT, and jump into ITT because it's a great way to get yourself and your past patterns out of the way, your ego self, that is to say, out of the way, so that your natural self can emerge and flourish. And you can start seeing results like Shira is right now.
Yeah, and continue on after, because you just get to continue to flourish and keep on growing.
It never stops. Yeah, for sure.
No, it never stops. And I'll tell you, from being a transformational trainer to coming to do this work, I could almost say I had the knowledge, which I did. However, the way you applied it, the way you had us implement it, and allowing it to come from the inside out has made all the difference in the world. So if you're thinking about it, stop thinking, just jump in. Best money I've spent in a long time. And if you want specific results, give me a call. I'll be glad to give you specific results.
All right, wonderful. Well, we appreciate your time and your very clear communication, and thank you very much, Shira. See you next time.
Thank you, John. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.